Hey, everybody, and welcome to my live broadcast. Today, I'm going to be talking about how to produce, create, manufacture your own licensed products. Now, this is something that is a great thing to do if you sell on Amazon or if you sell on really anywhere, if you have your own store. But licensing is kind of tough to crack. So, I wanted to give you guys some tips on how to get started and how to approach licensors, which are the people that grant the licensing, and some different strategy ideas. So here we go. And please go ahead and grant StreamYard. If you're watching live, grant StreamYard permission to view your comments, and then I can see them live here. If not, I will go back and respond to any comments when I am afterwards and make sure I answer any questions. Thank you very much for those of you who are tuning in live. I appreciate it. Thank you for the replay, people. Okay, so I'm going to go through 5 steps to license your own products. Actually, I did 6 because I was going to do 5, and then I basically thought of another one. So we're going to do 6. The number 6 one is know what you want to sell. So a lot of times, depending on how you come into commerce, you might have come in from the perspective of, I'll sell whatever I can, whatever sells. But licensors are used to a little bit more of an old-fashioned business model where you come in and you say, I'm a maker of bracelets and I want to make a Hello Kitty bracelet. And so in that case, then they say, oh, great. Yeah, let's talk bracelets. So even if you're a company that sells a bunch of different products, when you first approach a licensor, you really want to go in with some expertise in one particular or 2 particular types of products that you can then talk about with them, address individually, and then over time, you can certainly add more different products, depending on the licensor. The 2 main reasons why you might want to license are really important to distinguish and to know kind of why you're going in, what you want to do. The first one is sometimes you just want art. You just want a beautiful design, or this works for audio too, a sound. So if you want art, these are 2 different fabric stores. The one on the left is just beautiful art fabric. And so it's not necessarily going to sell itself. People who aren't going to come in who are fans of that image and just be like, oh, I've been looking for that mushroom. I want to get that mushroom fabric. They are fans of the store, Fabric Worm, and they want to buy cool fabric. And so they're going to look through. And so the strategy on licensing that art is then you can get really great art that you don't have to pay somebody to produce just for you. And depending on the agreement you have, maybe you're the only fabric seller. Maybe they license their art to, dishes or whatever, but you're the only one who has, fabric. So anyway, one way to license is to look for art that you want to put on something that you're already selling. You already have a channel, you already have a customer, and you just want to produce something beautiful and attractive and maybe keyword oriented. If you're, producing mushroom placemats, then you would want to have beautiful mushroom art. So the other big reason why people license, and I think this is definitely what people think of more, is they tend to do it because of brand power. So they go in and they want the fans of that brand, like the Hello Kitty example I gave in the last slide, to buy their product. So this is another fabric store. This is just Joanne Fabrics, but they have licensed fabric. So if you're an AC/DC fan, they want you to come and buy fabric from them. So they licensed from AC/DC, and there are some other bands here they've licensed from. So those are the really 2 reasons why you license. One is for art and one is for brand power. Number 4, it's really important to demonstrate good bookkeeping. Now, this is a little bit more targeted at smaller businesses. If you're a 1 or 2 person shop or just a smaller company, when you enter into a licensing agreement, usually the way it's structured is you pay a % of your retail price over time. So for example, you might pay 10% of your retail price to the licensor. So they want some money up front though. So you need to go in and be able to talk numbers with them. You need to be able to say like, okay, we're going to, start with 1,000 for the first 6 months. And so at 10%, if we're selling them at $20 each, we'll pay you $2,000 today, and then we'll keep you updated quarterly. So then if we end up producing 1,200, we'll pay the difference. So that's kind of how that might be structured. But they need to understand that you can actually do that math and keep up with those numbers. And so if you're not an accountant or a CPA or somebody who's really good at your own books and the numbers, have somebody on your team, whether it's it could be a contractor or whatever, but somebody who can talk those numbers with the licensor so that they're comfortable that they're going to get paid accurately. Know your 6-month and 1-year sales targets. Now you can be off. You can say, okay, we think we're going to sell 500 units in the first 6 months. Now, if you sell 450, it's fine. You will have paid up front, most likely, to license 500 units. Now, if you come in under 500, and then you have something in your contract saying up to 10%, we can move into the second half of the year. That's fine, but you want to have some idea. Are you looking to make 1,000 units in a year with their license on it? Or are you looking to make 50,000? So this is where your expertise in what you're selling comes in. How many bracelets can you sell in 6 months? And so it's really good to know these, at least a close target up front. Now, this is an unofficial tip for people who are Amazon sellers. If you are not already brand registered, my strong suggestion to you is to become brand registered before you try to enter into a licensing agreement with any company. You want to go in already set up for brand registry for a couple of reasons. One, the process of brand registry will sort of force you to legitimize your business a little bit more than you might if you're not a brand registered brand. And number two, if you have any issues with the license, you're more likely to get better support from the brand registry team than you would get from just regular seller support. So it can happen that you've done everything right. You've crossed all your T's, you've dotted all your I's, you have all the right paperwork, you manufactured your Hello Kitty bracelets, you send them in, and then Amazon tells you, oh, these are blocked. You can't sell, you don't have permission to sell Hello Kitty. Well, you then at that point might have to produce your paperwork. You might have to engage an attorney to produce paperwork with legal to show that you legally have the right to sell that product on that platform. So all of that will go more smoothly if you are a brand registered company versus just a regular third-party seller. So that is my unofficial tip. I cannot promise that you won't have issues even if you're brand registered, but it is more likely to be successful and have less issues if you're brand registered. Number 2, schedule targeted meetings. So sometimes when you go to a show, there's a licensing expo, the big ones in Vegas in the US, and they have them in Europe. When you go to a show, you would normally go to sort of browse around and be like, oh, I'm thinking Hello Kitty, I'm thinking Batman, I'm thinking whatever. But really this show, you want to kind of preview everything in advance and set up appointments with the actual licensors that you actually want to talk to. And you want to have your ducks in a row. You want to go in and be like, okay, we want to produce 1,000 units in the first 6 months. We're going to make these bracelets. This is the retail price. This is what we can offer you up front. You want to get as close to doing that deal at the show as you absolutely can. Now, this year in 2020, there's no show. They're actually doing, for the first time ever, a virtual show in June. So I've put the link up. I don't know if they're going to do another one in the fall. They usually do 2 of these a year. So I'm not sure yet. By the time you watch this video, if it's past June, then go ahead and click that Licensing Week virtual link and see if it works. And I'm going to put that in the comments as well. So if you can't go to a live show, it's a little bit more challenging to make those connections. The industry is pretty opaque. So especially if you want a big license, then it's worth it to go to the show, but just only if you make those targeted meetings in advance. So the same deal with the online one. Try to look through the vendors in advance, the licensors, and see what you can schedule, see who you can connect with before the actual show. And then the number one thing to be ready for licensing if you're selling on Amazon is to be ready to prove everything to Amazon repeatedly. You always have to have all your ducks in a row from the Amazon side, from the licensing side, and you have to really be ready to prove it. The biggest thing I've heard from sellers is that they have permission to sell their Hello Kitty bracelets, but Amazon's still denying them. So they have multiple computer systems all doing different things. And so sometimes the one can't talk to the other. So you have to be ready to prove and prove and prove again. And sometimes if you can't get the help you need through brand registry support or seller support, you may have to go through Amazon Legal. All of that, though, is to say that licensing is a great opportunity. I mean, many of us who have started with arbitrage sold the heck out of licensed goods that we bought retail at like Walmart or Target or whatever on Amazon. And so it's definitely, if you can figure out the process, it's a great way to sell products. It's not the easiest process, but the good thing about something not being the easiest process is that means not everybody and their brother can do this process also. So if you take the time and effort to go through it, then you will distinguish yourself from the competition. So please put in the comments. I'd love to hear your licensing experience. If you're going to the virtual licensing week, or if you went, what your experience was of working with them virtually. And feel free to share this video. You can share the YouTube link. You can share the Facebook link. And also, please like, subscribe, and I would love to hear your thoughts and comments. Thank you so much.